was half expecting it to be a tight squeeze, but I didn't quite think it was going to be that bad. Hey everyone, Mark from Coastal Country. Today's video we're going to try and put this floor in that we've covered with the carpet. See if it fits, that's the thing. So we're just going to screw it into the existing holes. I've already pre-screwed them into the old holes in the board and hopefully it lines up. So we'll get started on that and yeah, we'll have to drill out the new boards and the new floor, but hopefully the old floor drops straight in. Okay, see if this thing fits. I doubt it will. Pretty tight with the carpet. So yeah, straight away, it's going to be pretty tight where that's going to go. So I'm going to trim that out a bit. This is all under the floor. It won't get wet anyway, so I might just get rid of that. The glue's certainly doing its job. Right, so try and line up these old holes. So I'm going to take this floor out again after we've got the floor fully fitted, and then I'll vacuum it all out. So these are 316 stainless screws for the floor. I've actually gone a little bit heavier than the originals that were in there as well, and I'm only going to do that for the floor because the floor takes hiding. 30mm screws on the inside because we've got plenty to go with, 25s on the outside so it won't go through the hole, and yeah, so far so good. I'm using dome heads as well instead of countersunk because they tend to bite into the carpet a bit better and sit flush, and you're just walking on top of them. If you countersink them, they tend to go through the carpet and then the carpet can lift up a bit. So. Alright, that's one in. Nice. Alright, we're going to get the other one. Alright. So we've got our other board here. I've already trimmed out a little bit around where it goes into here just because I reckon it'll be tight as well. Righto, so next that. Like I said, we're going to pull these out again later anyway to vacuum under the floor. I've got to do a heap of wiring yet, so I'm not too worried about how it is right at the moment. Better knowing where they are. Not sure what that one's problem is. One's alright. One's alright. Right, that's landing. Well, that was fun. Right, we've got a little back piece here we've made that goes in here, which fills it up. I'm just going to screw the top. Again, I've just drilled through the back of this so I can tell where the holes were that we pre-drilled. And I'm not too worried about, like we're going to pin this from the top, I'm not too worried about holding in the bottom. You could actually put a little bracket up here to take a bit of pressure, or put a bottom screw in this if you wanted to, and I can do that at any time. If I find this is starting to sort of curl in a bit over time, I'll put a backstop on it, but at the moment I'm just going to, does it fit? I'm just going to leave it the way it is. So that's pretty much the centre of it. The first thing to do, make sure that is definitely in the right spot. So make sure it's pretty well centred that way. We'll push down on it as hard as we can. What I'm doing with this It's good to think because I'm using 10 gauge screws. Yeah, and so 3.5mm drill bit, that still gives us plenty of meat. This is pretty thin material as well, so in a thicker beam, if you're going into a thicker aluminium, you may need to go 4mm, but 3.5 should be fine for this. We'll find out anyway. Yeah, hole is, isn't it? That's the first one there. Just push that down as hard as we can. I'll get a screw in there to pin it. Change back to a number 2 fillet head for this. Okay, so quick look from back here a bit, make sure it looks pretty straight. Good enough. So crank the end down first. That one. They're going in nice too. They're pulling in nice and tight, and they're not too hard to screw in. So we're not going to. I don't think we're going to snap one off trying to do that. Right, so let's just basically repeat that process. I think I allowed for a couple in here somewhere. One there. Probably a bit of an overkill for screws, but no, I'll just quickly do these. Okay, that is it. So later, that'll go in there. Ring holders in. So that just stops your fish getting underneath all the way to the back. You do get stuff like I said before. You can drop a sinker or something, and you tack, you're rigging up the line. You can get under there for sure. Bit of a pain, which means if that happens, you've got to pull the floor out, but you'd have to do that anyway. So anyway, it makes it look nice and neat. Okay, same again with this one. Work that in and see how it goes. So that's pretty close. Fire extinguisher mounts under there like that. Definitely the carpet tolerances. I could have allowed, well, could have even given myself another 5mm. So this is sitting up quite a bit higher than I'd like it to. The options are I could cut the carpet underneath on this piece and let it drop down that little bit extra, which wouldn't hurt, but then this carpet here is not thin, that could start coming out. So I think what we'll do, we'll just sit the deck on top of that anyway. It'll overlap a bit, and once that's screwed down, I think it'll all bed down after a bit of time anyway. Tight, that one. It's my fault. I'll take that out and screw that out with the multi grips because yeah, snap that off. Should have drilled that out 4mm instead of 3.5. Give it a bit of extra clearance. So alright, I'll take this off and drill that out again. Right, quickly drilled these other ones while I was at it with a 4mm drill bit, and they went quite alright. Grabbed some multi grips, locked onto that. Oh, it's tight. It's starting to go, so we might be able to, it might come out. Oh, there we go. So this is going to be a material, that framework I put in. So So that was a bit of an ask. What I'll do is drill that out again, but with a 4mm drill bit. And that should go in alright, because the other side did. Alright. So what's happened here, that's the bit we just put in. It is sitting up a little bit proud of the frame. I had planned on having it flush, but I definitely didn't allow enough for the carpet. So it's not really going to matter. That will sit a little bit high and won't really affect much at all, really. So that was designed to overhang that tiny bit, like 5mm. So I guess worst case scenario, if the screws pull that down, there'll be a little bit of a lip there, and that'll stop the sinkers rolling off the end. There you go. I've designed that. I have cut out a little bit wider section here to go around this frame we put in, and I was hoping there'd be enough twist in this to try and sort of force it through here and then it'll pop through. So anyway, we'll see what happens. I may have to cut a heap more of this carpet out, so I'll try and get it started up this way a bit. And try and crank it down a bit. Oops. Not too bad. Hang on, a bit more soft mallet there. I think we're going to be, oh no, we're heaps far over that way. See, we might be lucky, yeah? I'm not going to screw anything yet. I'm just going to put everything in like the hatch and that other triangle, and then the screws I've already pinned this with when I first did it with the board are going to be miles out, so I'm not even going to bother trying to line the screws up for that. So we just throw the frame in, as in the hatch in, and the other corner, and we'll just see if it even is got a chance of fitting, and then we'll re-drill new holes. Right, so these are our 3 pieces. I've just got the corner goes over there. So at the moment I've just got this first bit just sitting there. Hopefully it'll fit. That's the hatch. That's not too good, is it? Oh wow, that's miles off. Yeah, we're going to be in trouble here, I think. I'm going to have to come over this way a lot. Oh, it's tight. It's not going to happen. So that's not too bad. All we've got to do is just make this hatch again. How far out are we? Far out, we've got 10mm out. Alright, well it is what it is. So that's not the end of the world. That's actually a fairly easy fix, thank goodness. So yeah, I'm going to cut out. It's only this one side. That side's okay. So what I'll do is I'll basically have to cut out like a good 10mm out this side, good 10mm that side, and about 5mm there, and then that should drop in. And then I'll just recarpet it. I'll quickly paint the edges, seal it again. So yeah, oh well. I was half expecting it to be a tight squeeze, but I didn't quite think it was going to be that bad. I'm fairly hard up on that, like this board that way. I could actually move it over a little bit, but it's nice and tight on the sides of the boat there. Happy with that gap there. I think it's just as easy to do the hatch because it is nice and straight as well, so it's an easy thing to recarpet. Front's going to look okay. So I've actually changed my mind again. I'm going to leave the hatch alone. I'll put a lot of glue on that hatch as I remember. So what I'll do, as you can see here too, where I've got the lip that the hatch is going to sit on, it's got quite a bit of material there, but I'd like more, and here's getting a little bit skinny as you can see. I'm going to move this piece over that way, and that's not going to be that hard to do. I've just had a good think about it. I can scribe out say 10mm, 15mm out from the edge of this boat all the way around because this is tight. Probably don't want a real tight barrier here with carpet against the side of the boat anyway. Probably do need a bit of room for that to breathe because that'll just hold water all the time otherwise. So I'm going to cut a fair bit out of here and around The front's not too bad. So I've got plenty of room here still. I mean, I've got to cut that corner out a little bit, and I've still got a little bit of room. I can move this up a bit as well. So really, all I've got to do is cut a good 15mm out of here, and a piece out of here, and that'll all slide back that way, and that might open this gap up enough that the hatch will still drop in there. So I'm going to do that first, because this hatch, when I made it, I've got a fair bit of glue on there, because I knew that was going to get a hammer in. So let's do that first. Okay, so absolutely totally stuffed up the measurements on this. I had no idea how thick this carpet was. For some reason, in my head, I thought it was a lot thinner than that. But anyway, it would have been tight anyway. So point is, so what we've done, as you see in the boat, I've decided to take a bit off here, which stripes along the edge of the boat. And I've done it in black texture because when I cut more off behind it, that'll roll around, you won't see that anyway, so that doesn't matter. So I've gone, there's about roughly 10mm there. I've actually got a lot more on this side. So I've gone about 15 to 20 almost here. By the time that comes round, I've got to cut a little bit more out here yet. On this side I'll have to mark that. I've cut this out, and then this slopes on a bit of an angle. And I'm taking off, there was about 15mm this end, and it tapered down to pretty much nothing there, but I've decided to take another 5mm off anyway to be safe. This wasn't too bad, but I've cut a bit off anyway because I don't want to do it again. And I've cut a piece off there, so that should fix it. So anyway, what I'll do is I'll cut that off, cut this out, get a bit of paint on it, let it dry tonight, and tomorrow morning we'll crack on, re-glue it, staple it, and go from there. Don't even really need staple. That glue was hanging on pretty good, so good start. Anyway, that's what I'll do. I won't bore you with videoing that. I'll just get onto it and I'll show you in the morning. So luckily we had a little bit of paint left over, as in a couple of litres. But anyway, so this is the bit we redid. So I'm not going to lie, that was a pain. Would have been nice if I didn't have to do that. But anyway, so we've cut this side out, give it a repaint, let that set tonight, and we'll get that on there in the morning. Right, so we've got this one sorted out finally. We've shortened it up. You can see down the side there the original line, the black line where we had it originally, so I was out quite a way. Yeah, where I stuffed up with was basically I hadn't allowed enough thickness on the carpet. I worked it out, I was roughly 3mm out. When I cut the board sizes, I was 3mm too big every time I made a cut, which doesn't really matter when you're only going, say, across the boat or something. But when you've got these sitting against the boat, there's actually 6 points of carpet. So basically, you know, 3 6 is 18, so you end up with 18mm. It's expanded across the width of the boat, so that's why the hatch started to get a bit tight. So anyway, we've trimmed that one down, and hopefully the rest will fit, but let's throw it in and see what it looks like. Alright, so let's see if we can get it in here. Still pretty tight in this area here. I've made this pretty narrow purposely because it widens up when it gets to there for that bar. So I've got to manoeuvre it around a little bit. Okay. Right, so that drops in nice. So I'll be able to tweak it a little bit here and there. So that way, hopefully that hatch will come out here. Nice. Alright. So yeah, look, at the end of the day, just be aware if you're going to put carpet on a board, it makes a huge difference. I allowed for, I think it was about 5mm, but it just wasn't enough. I needed like 8 for this particular stuff by the time I had the rounded curve. So yeah, and when you've got multiple joins, like I was saying, so you've got, I was out by 3mm every time. So you know, there's 6mm, there's 12mm, just with a hatch, and then if it's tight against the side of the boat, which it was in points, it all adds up. So yeah, I've done a few boats and I haven't been caught like that before. But anyway, what we'll do now is drill them, screw them, get them basically so this hatch stays in fairly tight, but also enough that it'll come out. And we'll get this all pinned down, and then we'll start working on this front seat. Alrighty, so what we need to do, make sure this hatch is pretty much where it needs to be. That's gone a bit. I have enough clearance there, only just. I can try and squeeze it over a little bit, make that gap a little bit not quite so tight. And as for this, that's lined up quite nice. And the overhang at the back here is pretty even, so pretty happy with that. So we've got a beam running across all the way across here. So if I stick one in here, that should be pretty close, you'd hope. And we hit aluminium, so that's a good sign. A bit short these screws, I've got longer ones, but if I can get away with these. Nice flush. Alright, that's one in. Just got to go in there somewhere. Should be pretty right. A bit of a peek if I need to. Might go out a bit. Probably need longer screws for this, and I can whack a pretty massive one in because there's nothing on the other side. There will be foam later, but at the moment it's going to be pretty deep. So like I said, we'll be pulling these out again, vacuuming under it, filling this up with foam, running cables, all sorts of stuff. So this is just a bit of a whack it in and see how it fits. Okay, well that'll probably do anyway for a minute. That's in nice still. We're going to do this other corner piece. Again, that one just comes across there. Take that out and have a good look. Definitely should have a screw there. It's going to be a hatch. So we're going to have a front storage locker, throw a rope or something in there, battery access straight in here, drop a battery in. Could have made these separate. The reason I didn't is because then you have a little hatch here that can actually just slide back on its own, whereas at least this way with the T-piece we made, it locks itself in and it can't fall out. So all I need to do now is just drill out the rest of it, drill these out, have everything ready to go, and we'll start mounting this one. So I'll go and grab the side bit for this, put that on properly and see how that gets on. Right, I'm just going to put this hatch on here now. I've got this so it sits slightly up above the hatch here. I've got to centre it this way onto the frame. I'm not worried about the top bit yet because that's not actually straight yet. So I've just got to make sure that's centred with the same amount of overhang there. I'll whack a screw under here, which I did before, about halfway down, to give it the clearance we need for this hatch so it can come out. Doesn't look too bad. Just pre-drilled. I'll get a hold under here. Looks pretty straight. Drill this one around here somewhere. See that? Get those screws out. Hopefully got enough clearance now to get that lip out. So that's nice, that just slides underneath there now. And also stops it sort of lifting out as well by itself. That wiggles out quite good. Now all we're going to do is line up this top piece, get it square, and we should be right. So all we need to do is have a bit of an overhang each side there, which it pretty much has. Nice. So that's working alright. So it's got to button this down a bit now. Yeah, fire extinguisher. Still got a bit more carpet at the back to do. We'll have a quick squeeze at that. Right, have our other sheet here, which is basically, this one was the existing timber that was already on there. See the bottom of this is a little bit rough. That's where Angle ground those bits out. Could have changed this. Figure, look, it's not doing much, just holding the seat on. I can change that at any time. It's really easy to pull out this one. Just sealed it really well. Put a lot of glue on the seat as well. Now this is pre-drilled, the floor, so I've got to work out where these holes are. And I've covered them over the carpet, so it makes it a bit hard. But what you can do is sometimes feel around for them because they're such big holes. There's a bit of a divot there we can feel because I've covered them this side, so you can't really. Oh, actually no, I haven't. Oh, I can just see that one. There you go. So that is the hole. So there's one there. The other one I've covered underneath. It's on this corner. It's on this corner here somewhere. You can feel a bit of an indent where the hole's been, so that's where that one is. So definitely larger screws. These are the 12 gauge ones we've got, not like the shotgun, but pretty heavy duty. These screws is the same size as what they have used there, so they'll screw in, no worries. So because the boat's already had them, I think I'll try and keep, instead of drilling more holes, I'll use those. But what I will do is put another couple in close to where this seat's going to be mounted, like probably here and here, because the seat's going to be bolted to this board here, and that'll just stop it tearing it out. So hopefully that fits. I've tested that out. Yeah, so that's for the old seat. Yeah, it's got it came out. It's got on there. Right, so I've got to drill some holes. Drill some holes through the carpet. We put those black dots on there before, we can fill it in there. Hopefully that's where they'll go. There we go. Skate it around a little bit. There we go, found it again. Yeah, so that one's biting in pretty well. So what I'll also do is chuck a couple of screws in the seat here. So the seat's going to sit around here somewhere as a guesstimate. So I'll put a couple of screws around about here, so at least this is tied in pretty well. So the aluminium on that seat is very thin. So with the 15 horsepower outboard, it's not going to be doing any water speed records and hardly going to tear us out of the boat. So I think that'll take some pulling off. So right, those seats in, we've just got to do these back bits now. Next job is to put in these back boards that sit in the back. These are the original boards. They've had a bit of a hiding actually. This one's not too bad. This one here was very ordinary, had a little bit of rot in the first layer of ply. And this was actually sitting up this way. They actually ended up with a dish in them all. So what I've done is I've flipped them over. So I don't know if you pick that up on camera, there's a slight curve in it that way. Like I said, they were sitting this way up in the boat and they had a dish that way. So I'll flip them over. So with a bit of weight on, they should start straightening out. This one's the worst one. Again, these are really simple to change. You just got a few screws, pull them out, change that board over anytime you like. So I figure all this thing does is literally, I'll put the worst one over this side because we'll be getting in on that side. So all they actually do is hold just some bits of rope, or if you had a second anchor out the back, you can sit that on there in a box or something, or tackle box, whatever, just holds junk, so it doesn't really do much. They've screwed them in with 12 gauge screws, which is pretty heavy duty. So they go in there. They had one in the centre of both these boards. Now that I've swapped them around, those holes won't line up anyway, so I won't reuse those, and I will actually put 4 screws in each board, and I'll put them closer to the main beam so they can't tilt this way. So this is the other one. This one's a better one out of the two. It was on the other side. So again, I've dished it, so when it gets some weight on it, it should flatten out or cut it out the right shape. Tiny bit of an angle to suit the hull at the back, and that's just going to go like that. So there's a step at the back of this boat. When you step in, you'll be straight onto that. I mean, realistically, I think the fuel tank pretty much goes this side anyway, and that'll cover up to that point, and I'll probably put a strap around that. The reason I have the fuel tank this side is because if I'm sitting that side with my big ugly mug there, if I had the fuel tank on the other side when you're driving along the boat, it's on a bit of an angle. So anyway, this evens it out a bit. If you've got two people, it doesn't really matter. Anyway, I'm going to put 4 screws in each one of these with heavy screws, screw them down, and I'll show you when that's done, because I think you've probably seen enough drilling and screwing for one day. Right, so I just mounted these last backboards, put 4 screws in, like I was saying, 12 gauge screws, pretty heavy duty, and that's pretty much that done. Minister of War and Finance has come over for a look.
Hello,
What are you doing?
just seeing where all our money's gone.
No, it's a bargain.
Okay, where you've been.
It was practically given to me.
It
Not.
looks good. Looks really great.
It's getting there. Yeah, so anyway, that's all the carpet now. So that fire extinguisher where you are is not quite bolted in yet. And so we've got the little console and we've got the glove box to go. So anyway, that's all the carpet. So, all right, I might leave it there for that video, guys. Thanks for watching. Again, hit the like button if you could, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe, and see you guys on the next one. See ya.
Bye.